all done with my coffee, so I guess it's time for some talking. So last video I got a request for some hamstring flexibility or exercises, specifically the sit and reach test. So I think that's what I'll focus on solely for today, and it'll be helpful for pretty much everybody. Just wanted to go over some key points. I think it's important to understand why we do what we do. So, and specifically, I'm going to go in the order I would do just to get the most bang for your buck for improving mobility, and specifically hamstring mobility is kind of grouped in that as well. So first I'm going to foam roll, and that doesn't have to specifically be your hamstrings. When I do hamstrings, I don't really feel anything. Some people feel it quite a bit, but I think foam rolling is just an important thing to do if you haven't gotten that idea already. When I pretty much have you foam roll every single time, or since these videos, I think I've always recommended to do foam rolling first. So there's that. And then, so if you have super tight hamstrings and you keep stretching out your hamstrings and they never seem to get any more mobile or flexible, you don't always have to focus on the specific area of what is tight. Sometimes there's an underlying issue somewhere else in the body that is causing your hamstrings to be tight. And one example of that, and I'm sure there are multiple examples of why your hamstrings are tight, but one that I like to use and what I've seen often used is something called an anterior pelvic tilt. So what basically happens is that the front side, your hip flexors, and your quads become so tight as that they will actually pull your hips forward into what is the anterior pelvic tilt. So when that happens, the posterior side of you will start to lengthen up and causing your hamstrings to become tight. And so if you keep stretching out your hamstrings, you're not really focusing on what's putting your hamstrings in a lengthened position. You're going to keep doing it and you're not going to really have any results from that. So don't always focus on the tight area, and sometimes it is the tight area. I mean, there's just, you have to do your own research on your own self, and that's kind of what I do with my clients, is that just throughout a few sessions I have with them, I can kind of figure out what is the issue. So first, we're going to use that example. What you're going to do is do some hip flexor stretch, and I'll change camera angles so we get a little bit of visual. I think my cat might join us again. Hopefully that camera does not fall. So I got a little box here. It's not the most comfortable box, so I just laid a sweatshirt there just to give my foot some relief. So we're gonna do your hip flexor. So I'm trying to stretch out here, tuck the tail, get some activation in the glute. Y'all know what hip flexor is. Boom, boom. And then you're gonna do 5 to 8 reps of that. And then you're gonna do some glute bridges. And this should all look pretty familiar. So my knees are bent, feet are hip width apart, and I'm doing my glute bridges. And say I do, 8 to 10 of that. I'm not gonna go all the way back up, but so what that idea is that we are creating new range of motion through your hip flexor stretch. And you don't have to use an elevated stretch. That's the way of just increasing the stretch, but you're going to stretch out, create new range of motion through that, and then you're going to strengthen the opposite side. So what that does is helps push you into more of a neutral stance, I guess, within your hips, and it just helps solidify and create a more solid base of flexibility. So it helps keep that range of motion, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And cat's going crazy. So what I want to say is, also wanted to say that sometimes people have a natural anterior pelvic tilt, and that's totally fine, and that's just the way it is, and they have perfectly limber hamstrings. Oh yeah. Where do I want to go out? Here. So you can do that, and I forgot to mention that it's good to test either your sit and reach. So sit and reach is this test, I'm assuming, so your feet are straight out and you're just reaching forward, and you're just seeing how far you can go forward with your hands. Or you can do a standing test, so just, feet together, knees locked, and you're just reaching for your feet. So it's good to test before and after. So if you did, the sit and reach test, then you did your hip flexor, either back foot on the ground or elevated on some sort of surface. You do some bridges, stand back up, and you can do maybe a couple rounds, and then test it again. And if it's improved, then you know that, or at least it gives you some idea that that could be part of the issue. And then specifically going back to the sit and reach test, if you have a partner or someone you live with that doesn't mind helping you out in this situation, you can do something called PNF stretching. So again, we're just trying to use your own strength to bring you into a new range of motion. So what you're going to do is get back into your sit and reach test. So my feet and legs are straight out. I'm going to make a fist, and say your partner's standing in front of you. And they have their hands out like this, and your fists are in their palms. You're going to press in, and they're going to add some sort of resistance. It doesn't have to be like you're trying to push someone over, but you can add in some resistance. And then once your partner, you do a couple deep breaths, your partner's going to relax. Don't just completely let go, because then you'll jerk forward. But so press, partner relax, and you'll notice that you'll gain some new range of motion. It's actually a pretty cool way of stretching. And then stick into that same range of motion. Breathe comfortably. Try not to tense up as hard as you can. Don't shrug your shoulders. Again, the partner, press. Breathe a couple times. Have the partner slowly relax, and you'll notice you'll just keep getting a little bit further and further. So it's a pretty quick way of gaining some new range of motion in that specific type of test. So if that is your goal, then that's pretty cool. But again, you want to do some sort of strengthening exercise after you gain your new range of motion. So PNF, and then we're gonna do, it's kind of like PNF, but so I'm gonna take a book, my designed great beers. You can grab a pillow. I'm going to grab a yoga block, and basically we're going to do a standing reach test. So what I'm going to do, I'll change camera angles, is I'm going to elevate my toes on the block, or on the book, excuse me. I'm going to have the block between my knees. I want to add some tension with my knees squeezing the block, and then I'm going to reach for my toes. And it's okay if you let the knees bend just slightly. That's totally cool. But you want to keep that that tension with your knees and squeezing the block together. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to try to break the block or explode it. You just have to add maybe 20 to 30% effort into it, and keep that tension while you're breathing and doing your toe touch. So we're going to do 5 of those, and then what you're going to do is you're just going to step forward or turn around. You're going to elevate just the heels on the block, or the book. I don't know why I keep saying block, but it's standing right in front of me. So basically do the same thing, but with your heels elevated, keeping tension and breathing. So I'll demo that real quick because we're already at 10 minutes, and hopefully people are still listening. So, start with the easier one first. So I got my toes elevated. The block is between my knees. I'm slightly bent, and I'm going to reach down. And just make sure you stand up each time. And I'm going to just skip a few reps. But, you can do 5 to 8, even maybe a little more, maybe 10 reps. And I'm going to elevate the heels, block between my knees. And that is a pretty good hamstring, let's say like relaxer. So kind of helps trick your hamstrings into relaxing while doing some toe touches. So that one I use quite a bit for people that have tight hamstrings. It's a pretty good one. Again, everyone's going to be different, so maybe one thing works for you, one thing doesn't. Next, so I'm just going to go over improving coordination, and then I'll actually do some specific hamstring exercises that you should feel some stretch in there, because maybe that is the problem. We just don't know yet. But it's good to kind of like knock off some things if that isn't the case. So improving coordination, I'm going to include a link in the description to, it's basically just a chart of, and I'll show you. So it's going to look like this. There's going to probably be 6 to 8 more lines of different stars and line combinations. So the star's either going to be on one side, in the middle of the line, or on the other side. So what you're going to do, you can just look it on your computer. So what you're going to do is slight squat. Just bend these just a little bit. If the star is on the right side of the line, you're just going to gently tap your right thigh. And if it's on the left side, big surprise, you're gonna tap the left side. You don't have to like hit yourself, but just tap. If it's in the middle, tap both. So this one, I'm gonna be like, see, I already messed up. So you're just gonna go all the way through. And again, you should be testing before you do this. Do the chart once through, test again. And sometimes I've seen some pretty big improvement, which is pretty weird because you're not actually stretching. And then there's sometimes where it just maybe improves, and it's maybe just because you're just reaching for, you're doing your reach tests, because that is going to be the first thing we do once we get past this coordination part, is just literally repeating and moving, because sometimes mobility and flexibility can just be you moving around, and that's just, maybe haven't done that, and it's just getting the body more used to that, and that will help improve your flexibility. So hopefully I'm not butchering this to people that are much more qualified than me to be talking about this. So I think I'm doing an okay job explaining this. So basically, do the chart, do some PNF stretching if you can. The block and the book are some pretty big money makers for improving hamstring, and then also the hip flexor plus bridges is a pretty awesome combo, pretty common combo of just getting rid of that tight hip and strengthening the hips as well, and that can help improve hamstring flexibility. And then always just foam rolling. I also tend to start from the bottom, like from your feet, to and move my way up as far as trying to help someone become more flexible. I think there's a lot of problem areas that we don't focus on at the bottom of your feet to do that. So we've done, I think the last couple of days I've done quite a bit of either ankle mobility or big toe stuff, or just rolling out the bottom of your feet. So try to improve that as well, especially if you have like pretty tight ankles. That can also cause dysfunction within the body that can help lead to tightness elsewhere. So the best advice I can also give you is, again, don't focus on the problem area. And sometimes they say if you do the sit and reach and something just hurts, say your back or whatnot, don't do that. Pain is an indicator to not do something. It's your body going, no, I don't want to do that. So find another thing that you might be tight. So like say you have tight rotation, doing like open book or your 90-90 stretch. So improve that before you start doing some specific hamstring stuff. And that, so basically you want to improve flexibility elsewhere that doesn't cause pain in your body. So enough talky. Maybe I will post I'll stop this video and then post it, and then I'll just do some specific routine for hamstring because we're at 15 minutes. Hope you watched it all the way through. If not, whatever. Go live wire. See ya.